Welcome back to Transcriber from Reddit. Today's topic comes from the subreddit When Women Refuse, posted by user Cat Pooed in My Shoe. The post is a linked post titled, "An Italian Appeals Court Friday upheld life sentences for a Pakistani couple convicted of murdering their 18-year-old daughter in a so-called honor killing after she refused an arranged marriage." Side note, before I go into the body of the text, yes, the couple was from Pakistan, and yes, their religion of origin was Islam. I begin reading the body of the text. An Italian appeals court Friday upheld life sentences for a Pakistani couple convicted of murdering their 18-year-old daughter in a so-called honor killing after she refused an arranged marriage. The case shocked many Italians and became a symbol of the brutal mistreatment of immigrant women who rebel against inflexible family rules. The appeals court in the northern city of Bologna said that Saman Abbas, whose body was found at a farmhouse in 2022, 18 months after she disappeared, was killed with the participation of the whole family. The court upheld a life sentence for both the teenager's father, Shabir Abbas, and her mother, Nazia Shaheen. It also sentenced to life in prison two cousins who had been previously cleared by a lower court. Saman's uncle, Danish Hasnain, was also sentenced to 22 years in prison for his involvement in the murder. He had been previously given a 14-year sentence. The court case in Reggio Emilia in northern Italy became the most high-profile of several criminal investigations in Italy in recent years, dealing with the slaying or mistreatment of immigrant women or girls who rebelled against their families' insistence that they marry someone chosen for them. So-called honor killings are common in Pakistan, where family members and relatives sometimes kill women who don't follow local traditions and culture or decide to marry someone of their own choice. Saman Abbas's body was dug up in November 2022 in an abandoned farmhouse near the fields where her father worked in northern Italy. Italian prosecutors contend the woman was murdered by her family on May 1st, 2021. A few days later, her parents flew from Milan to Pakistan. Saman Abbas's father was later arrested in Pakistan and extradited to Italy for prosecution. Her mother was convicted in absentia, but was arrested in May last year after 3 years on the run. Abbas's uncle, two cousins, her father, and her mother went on trial first in February 2023. All the defendants have denied wrongdoing. Saman Abbas had emigrated as a teenager from Pakistan to the farm town of Novellora in Italy's northern region of Emilia-Romagna. She quickly embraced Western ways, including shedding her headscarf and dating a young man of her choice. In one social media post, she and her Pakistani boyfriend were shown kissing on a street in the regional capital, Bologna. According to Italian investigators, that kiss enraged Abbas's parents, who wanted her to marry a cousin in Pakistan. The young woman was last seen alive on April 30th, 2021, a few hundred meters, yards, away from where her body was discovered in surveillance camera video as she walked with her parents on the watermelon farm where her father worked. Abbas had reportedly told her boyfriend that she feared for her life because of her refusal to marry an older man in her homeland. An autopsy revealed a broken neck bone, possibly caused by strangulation. In 2019, Italy made coercing an Italian citizen or resident into marriage, even abroad, a crime covered under domestic violence laws. Following Abbas's disappearance, Italy's Union of Islamic Communities issued a religious ruling rejecting forced marriages. Side note, as much as that is too little too late for Abbas, there is hope that this will extend to all Islamic families coming from abroad. May no more young women die because of their religious inflexibility of their parents. Below that is an image from the source article from apnews.com. As of recording, this has over 1,000 upvotes and 36 comments. Before I move on to the AP News article, I want to highlight a couple comments. User emotional_spite_8937 wrote, "People willingly move to Western countries and then get pissed when their daughters adapt to the culture they chose to live in." Note that the word chose is italicized. Another user, Mr. Lane's Lament, commented, "It's always a cousin they want the woman to marry. Ick." Italy has been showing a pretty severe swing to the right politically in recent years. I'm glad that didn't affect the trial here. It's hard to say, quote, "justice was served," end quote, when there is no way to bring Ms. Abbas back. But this is the best possible outcome. Fuck that family and fuck these, quote, "traditions," end quote. Another user replied to that comment, user Amedormi, who wrote, "Yeah, I recently reread a book about a couple who stayed in an Iraqi village and it was like that. You had to keep the bloodlines pure and marry a cousin or possibly a really old man who came from long-standing lines of the Prophet. That or try to earn money to take care of your parents by making butter or other things. No other choices. Now this is real backwoods stuff, but we don't need any of it migrating." Side note, I cannot agree more with this sentiment. Moving on over to the AP News site, the article titled, "Italian Court Upholds Life Sentence for Parents of Pakistani Woman Killed by Her Family." We see the same image that was captured for the link in the Reddit post before. Here we have the caption underneath that reads, Nomanullah arrives at a hearing of the trial for the alleged murder of his cousin, Pakistani-born Saman Abbas, at Reggio Emilia's courthouse in northern Italy, February 10th, 2023. Written by Giada Zampano. Last updated 4:50 p.m. Central Time, April 18th of this year. An Italian appeals court Friday upheld life sentences for a Pakistani couple convicted of murdering their 18-year-old daughter in a so-called honor killing after she refused an arranged marriage. Yes, while it is copying, or while the Reddit post had the majority of the article in its text, the article provides much-needed links, like this one, where it talks about the court case that became the most high-profile of several criminal investigations in Italy in recent years, dealing with the slaying or mistreatment of immigrant women or girls who rebel against their families' insistence that they marry someone chosen for them. This is important. This is not the only case. There are multiple cases. This one is necessary to draw attention to the fact that this mistreatment is ongoing, because women in these cultures are not people who can choose their paths. No, they don't even see women as people at all. This article that was linked, titled, quote, "Love Doesn't Exist," end quote, "Immigrants Defy Forced Marriage Abroad." There's 16 images that I won't go through at the moment, but I will link it in the description below so you can take a look. This article was written by Francis D'Amelio, published back on February 27th, 2023. From the day of her birth in Pakistan, Iram Aslam was betrothed to a cousin 17 days older, but to the young woman who emigrated as a teenager to this Italian farm town on the Po River plain, the cousin felt like a brother. So on a visit to her homeland, she played for time, telling her aunts she wasn't ready for marriage. Quote, "They did everything possible to make me marry him," end quote, said Aslam. now 29. She said she told them, quote, "I don't want to marry him, and please don't ask me anymore," end quote. Her family, in both Italy and Pakistan, kept scheming to have her wed a man of their choice, and their caste. Aslam dismissed around 30 potential husbands. Quote, "In the end, I made everyone angry, and no one talks to me anymore," end quote, she said of her relatives in Pakistan. Side note, can you believe of the gall of these relatives to try to make her marry family and to get upset over such a silly thing? To us here in the West, yes, it's a silly thing. Pakistan needs to update their procedures so that they also see it as extremely silly. And not just silly. Even though it's silly to us, it has deadly consequences for these women. Continuing on, in 2 murder trials this month, Italian prosecutors are seeking justice for Pakistani immigrant women allegedly killed because they refused marriages imposed by their parents. The cases highlight differences, often misconstrued as religion-based, between centuries-old immigrants' cultural traditions and Western values prizing individualism. Quote, "I liked another person, wanted another one," end quote, Aslam said of her own situation. Quote, "But they didn't want it, because among us, love doesn't exist," end quote. Love is viewed, quote, "as a sin," end quote, she added, her thick, wavy brown hair covered by a multicolored headscarf. She asked that her face not be fully shown for fear of further antagonizing Pakistani neighbors in Gwastala, a town of 15,000 where they are the dominant immigrant community. To escape marriage-obsessed relatives, Aslam went for a time to live in Germany. But there was no escape for 18-year-old Saman Abbas. Like Aslam, she emigrated as a teenager from Pakistan to an Italian farm town, Novellara, 11 kilometers, parentheses, 7 miles, end parentheses, from Gwastala. In what appears to be an identity card photo taken shortly after her arrival, Abbas's face is framed by a black hijab, or headscarf. But the young woman quickly embraced Western ways, appearing in social media posts with her hair tumbling out from under a bright red headband. In one, she and her Pakistani boyfriend were shown kissing on a street in the regional capital, Bologna. According to Italian investigators, that kiss enraged Abbas's parents, who wanted their daughter to marry a cousin in Pakistan. In November, her body was dug up in the ruins of a Novellara farmhouse. She had last been seen alive a few hundred yards away on April 30th, 2021, in surveillance camera video as she walked with her parents on the watermelon farm where her father worked. A few days later, her parents caught a flight from Milan to Pakistan. Abbas had reportedly told her boyfriend she feared for her life because she refused to be married to an older man in her homeland. An autopsy revealed a broken neck bone, possibly caused by strangulation. An uncle and a cousin were extradited from France, and another cousin from Spain. They are now on trial in Reggio Emilia, the provincial capital with jurisdiction over Novellara, accused of Abbas's murder. Also indicted is her father, Shabir Abbas, arrested in his village in eastern Punjab. The whereabouts of her mother, who is also charged, are unknown. Side note, I'm glad that they got updated to her mother also being included in this murder plot and in prison. Continuing on. A lawyer for her father, Akhtar Mahmoud, told Italian state television that the young woman's family is innocent. He disputed prosecutors' allegations, contending that she had wanted to return with her family to Pakistan to flee Western ways. Asked about Italy's request for Shabir Abbas's extradition, Pakistan's ambassador to Italy, Ali Javed, told the Associated Press that the Pakistani government would, quote, "not hesitate," end quote, to do so. However, Italy has no extradition treaty with Pakistan. Javed blamed, quote, "individual ignorance," end quote, for forced marriage, which is illegal in Pakistan. In 2019, Italy made coercing an Italian citizen or resident into marriage, even abroad, a crime covered under domestic violence laws. Side note, every single country in the world needs to adopt this. starting with the Western ones and forcing all the other countries who still abide by forced marriages or arranged marriages Continuing on. Late this month, police in Spain detained the father of two sisters who were allegedly murdered while visiting family in Pakistan. The women had reportedly refused to have their husbands come to Spain after being forced to marry their cousins. In the United Kingdom, home to Europe's largest Pakistani community, the government's forced marriage unit cautioned that the problem of forced marriage isn't, quote, specific to one country, religion, or culture, end quote, and said statistics don't reflect, quote, the full scale of the abuse, end quote, since forced marriage is a, quote, hidden crime, end quote. Side note, I want to see the statistics from this forced marriage unit. A link, anything. Continuing on. Under the Italian justice system, civil plaintiffs can attach lawsuits for damages to criminal trials, and two organizations representing Islamic communities in Italy are among those suing in the Abbas trial. Other plaintiffs include women's advocacy organizations. Tiziana Del Pra, whose group, Trama del Ter, promotes intercultural relations, said that while violence surrounding forced marriage, quote, gets interpreted as religious, end quote, what's really at play is, quote, patriarchal control, end quote, of women's bodies. Side note, I don't necessarily disagree with this. However, a lot of patriarchal religions do intertwine very heavily in patriarchal cultures. One place that can be seen in the United States here is evangelical Christianity and a bunch of its subsects, which include fundamentalist Christianity, which include groups like ATI and IBLP. Continuing on. In December, a court in the northern city of Brescia convicted and gave 5-year prison sentences to 3 Pakistani immigrants, the parents and older brother of 4 girls, for beating them and keeping them out of school. According to court documents, the parents threatened their daughters that if they refused arranged marriages, they would end up like that, quote, girl in Pakistan, end quote. The court said that threat referred to 25-year-old Sana Shima, who was slain when she returned from Italy to Pakistan in 2018, allegedly at her parents' insistence. By her friends' accounts, Shima, who had taken Italian citizenship, loved her life in Brescia, where she worked out at a gym, went out for coffee with girlfriends, and danced with them at a disco. She was proud of her job teaching at a driving school in the northern city. Brescia prosecutors are now trying Shima's father and brother in absentia on a novel charge, murder in violation of the political right to marry one's own choice. Side note, good for them. I don't know where that case is. I hope that there's progress, good progress being made on that. Continuing on. In 2019, a court in Pakistan acquitted the 2 on murder charges, citing insufficient evidence. But Italy's Justice Ministry ruled the Brescia trial could go forward since Pakistan and Italy have no agreement governing cases involving so-called judicial double jeopardy. Shima's family initially told Pakistani authorities that she died of a heart attack the day before she was supposed to fly back to Italy. 2 friends testified in Brescia this month that Shima told them her parents wanted her to marry a cousin in Pakistan. They also quoted from Facebook messages in which Shima said her parents had confiscated her passport and phone in Pakistan. With the Italian embassy closely following the case, Shima's body was exhumed. An autopsy had indicated she was likely strangled. Prosecuting the case in Italy sends the message that, quote, exercising the right of who you want to live with, above all, who you want to marry, is a political right, end quote, to be guaranteed, quote, with utmost firmness, end quote. Brescia Prosecutor General Guido Rispoli told the AP. At the edge of a field near the farmhouse where Saman Abbas's body was found, mourners have left a stuffed toy squirrel and bunches of flowers at an improvised shrine. Quote, it will continue to happen. I tell you, that's how it is, end quote, Aslam said of violence linked to forced marriage. What progress has been made with trials like the ones in Reggio Emilia and Brescia isn't enough, she added. Quote, "It's like salt and flour." Unquote. Here ends the article. Below it reads, Associated Press religion coverage receives support through the AP's collaboration with the Conversation US, with funding from Lilly Endowment Incorporated. The AP is solely responsible for this content. Please consider donating to groups like Trauma di Terre. I have it showing here, and I will include a link for it in the description. If you have local groups around you that also support migrant women, please consider supporting them as well. Local resources need to have resources to help migrant women so that they have the freedom and the ability to make the choices they can make. And they're not pressured into these kinds of decisions which turn into life or death for them. Thank you for watching/listening, and I will see you in the next video.